Hello, this is Neil Thompson from the Delegate Wranglers. I'm very pleased to be talking to Jack Marczewski from the Meeting Show. Hello, Jack. How are you?
Hello. Yes, I'm very good. Thank you. Very good.
Good to be talking to you. Do you want to tell us a bit about, obviously there's only like a few days to go now before the show. Do you want to tell us a bit about your arrangements and how everything's going?
Yeah. It's been an interesting one. I think in a normal year with a live event, you're kind of used to the lead up to the show and the weeks that come and what you need to be doing. But this year is very different for us, for the whole team. It's different for our exhibitors, different for our buyers. It's a very different way of learning to interact. So it's a very busy week this week and the next few days. We've got lots to do, but we're really happy about where the show is and how it's progressing. I think one thing that we've really noticed is that the show's actually going on now. I think you fall into this kind of tradition of a show opening time, closing time, and that's when it's happening. But with the virtual show and the platform swap card that we've chosen to use, it's actually going on now. I mean, there's been thousands of messages that have been sent between buyers and suppliers already. People are already having kind of instant chats and little video calls, and then that's kind of building up to the free show dates and where there's going to be the pre-arranged appointments and all the education available. So it's actually quite exciting, seeing all the analytics, seeing the meetings grow, getting all the new buyers in and importing them in. It's going really well, actually. We're really happy.
Great stuff. So obviously it's very different from a usual meeting show. How is it different for people connecting? What's the way they do it this year?
Yeah, so obviously there's no face-to-face at the live show, which I think we all know and love and are all very used to. So particularly with the meeting show and the hosted buyer program, we've always had pre-arranged appointments. So exhibitors have turned up knowing that they have these appointments, who they're going to meet and when they're going to meet them. But on top of that, you also have the kind of sporadic opportunity to bump into people as they walk around the show and introduce your brand and your company. So we've tried to keep the essence of that the same within the virtual platform, but obviously actually there's opportunity to kind of enhance that sporadic bumping into people. So with the pre-arranged appointments, we've got those going on still. So buyers have been making those appointments, but for an exhibitor, there's a lot more access to the buyers in terms of who they are, what company they are, seeing more details about them. And there's actually now 2 points of contact that they can make. So they can also request appointments as per usual, but they can also request a connection. So with a connection, you have all their details. You can instant chat, you can instant video call as well. So whereas in an exhibition hall, normally you might miss out on some of these people. There's so much more visibility for people to connect with each other, and that's buyer to buyer, that's exhibitor to exhibitor, that's everyone really. So obviously the face-to-face aspect is something that we all crave and can't wait to return. But in terms of the AI that the swap card has and recommending people, it's actually really intuitive. And as I kind of mentioned before, there's already these connections being made. So it's quite exciting in terms of the opportunity for people when they're really craving these leads as exhibitors or potentially ideas as planners to actually connect and talk, because I think there hasn't been a massive opportunity to do that necessarily in recent months. So we're quite excited to be the hosts of that.
I guess quite good for suppliers as well, because they can kind of control the messaging and what they want to say and how they want to say it as well. So it's really good from supplier side as well to connect with buyers, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And as I kind of alluded to before, the transparency of the buyers is really key. So you can actually see exactly what kind of events they plan, where they look to plan them. And it just means that it can be a really tailored message. It can be a really tailored connection. Because I think everyone's short of time at the moment, and we've tried to make the platform as user-friendly as possible, so that it is more of just an opportunity to connect with people that will have an interest in what you're looking to push.
So Jack, do you want to tell us a bit about the educational program, and some of the fantastic guest speakers that you've got at the show this year?
Yeah, sure. So as with every year, the meeting show runs quite a comprehensive education program. we're not changing that for this year. We've got 3 days to give buyers and exhibitors access to that education. So we want to make sure that it's worth their while investing their time into actually interacting with it. So a lot of effort's gone into it. A lot of the key themes that you would kind of expect are there. So hybrid meetings, turning things virtual. We've seen a massive spike in sign-ups for those for obvious reasons. But we've also tried to keep the general themes that were running before this all happened within the education. I mean, the meeting shows 3 core values for this year were sustainability, community, and innovation. And we want to keep that the same. So there's going to be sessions on sustainability. There's going to be sessions on innovation. It's just with a bit of a twist in our current situation. And actually the sign-ups for it are going really well. We've got some great speakers this year. Obviously yourself, you'll be headlining a session, which would be great. We've also got Andy King, which we've publicised quite a bit.
Looking forward to that. I love that series, so really looking forward to that. Yeah,
so it would be, he's got a really interesting story to tell, and obviously we all know him from the Netflix documentary we've watched, and the kind of negative light that painted on a lot of on how that event was run and everything, and who was involved. But there's a lot more that isn't known about him in terms of his actual profession is an event organizer. He plans loads of parties, loads of corporate events. He actually made it his mission to repay the supply chain and raise money for them from Fire Festival, which wasn't really publicised much. And I think we all know how affected the supply chain is when something goes wrong like that. He's also helped Leonardo DiCaprio raise £8 million for climate change. So he's done some incredible stuff.
Yeah, not too shabby.
No, exactly. And I think being able to ask him questions about kind of turning crisis into positive and developing out of it is really exciting. And it was quite a coup to get him speaking at the show, and one that we're really excited about.
Do we know the format of that? Are people going to be able to ask questions? I know you're asking for questions in advance, but are people be able to ask live questions to him and things?
Yeah, so all of the education will be, any of the sessions you'll be able to ask questions through the platform. Andy King in particular, there's going to be his session will run first, and then there'll be a live Q&A, which will be moderated by one of the teams. So it's a really great opportunity to ask your burning questions. But it as with all the education, it's been impressive, let's say, to see the number of people that have signed up for the sessions already. Also, the great thing about the Swap Card platform is that session's not lost. So yes, they're being run at certain times, but it's all being recorded. It's all accessible on demand after the show.
So you can watch it whenever,
Exactly. So obviously we prefer you to turn up live and interact with it, but we all know everyone's schedules at the moment, and if it doesn't quite fit in, you can still access the content and still learn from it. And again, that goes to the theme of what we're trying to do for the virtual show is make it fit in around people's day-to-day lives. You can't just pick up a live show and turn it virtual. People don't interact with it the same way. So we've been very cautious about doing that and just trying to provide as much as we can on this platform and let people interact with it their own way.
It's got to be a bit on their terms as well, hasn't it? When they turn up and what they listen to and when they listen to it and when they interact with people. So yeah, I agree with you on that. So Jack, we'll round up with asking you, apart from the obvious, what's new for 2020 with the meeting show?
Yeah, so we try to obviously keep as much of the original meeting show live as possible and turn it virtual. But actually with the platform, there's been some great opportunities to introduce new aspects to the show. One thing that I'm really, really pleased with in how it's come together is the introduction of TMS TV, which is a constant stream of interviews, education and different content that will be streaming throughout the show dates. That will be on the homepage of the platform. I think it became obvious in some of the virtual events that we've attended, it's very hard to replicate the feeling that you're actually on an event, because essentially you're just staring at a computer screen. And so we wanted to have some kind of live thing that people could kind of just tune in and out of, pop back to, they'd see like an interview that would be a bit of a take on a particular subject in the industry. And we're really happy with how this has kind of come together. So that's going to be running throughout the 3 days of the show. That's something we're really pleased with, and the team's been working very hard on as well. Aside from that, obviously, like I kind of mentioned before, the transparency, being able to meet with everyone, the AI that recommends people that you meet with, that's really interesting for this year. Like so it takes your interests and it matches them with someone else's interests, and it says, hey, why don't you meet this person? So there's massive benefits to taking a show virtually. Obviously, we want to be returning to live, but it's kind of opened up some doors that we've not really considered before, which is great.
Yeah, so, well, Jack, it sounds really exciting. You know, I, for one, we're really looking forward to it. We're going to be there, you know, as well as, I know I'm speaking there, but we're going to have a stand there, you know, we're going to be around, so look out for us as well. And Jack, you know, best of luck to you guys. You've done a really good job of taking it from, you know, an in-person meeting to virtual this year. But I think you've done a brilliant job, so good luck.
Thank you very much. Cheers for having me.